How you gonna keep them down far after they've seen Paris? Yes, how you gonna keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris, or New York, or Chicago, or Philadelphia, or San Francisco, or any big city, anywhere? The city is exciting. It's interesting. It's full of opportunity, variety. It's a constant spectacle.
This is my own neighborhood, the Upper West Side of Manhattan. For some 20 blocks along Broadway, these oldsters and some youngsters sit among the auto fumes where life goes on thick, heavy, and loud. Why? Because any minute, anything can happen, and they're in the middle of it. There's no show as constantly interesting as people going about their business.
We're looking at the city with Eugene Raskin, who, as professor of architecture and city planning at Columbia University, inspired a generation of students with his love of things urban. Now, Professor Raskin speaks his mind to a larger audience through articles in the national press, and more directly in nightclub and concert hall entertainments. Raskin thinks urban problems are far too important not to be taken with a dash of good humor.
How are you going to keep them down on the farm? The answer is, you can't. They're leaving the farm and coming to the city. 50 years ago, 1/4 of America lived in cities. Today, it's closer to 3/4.
People who make a study of this kind of thing call it the rural-urban trend. It's been going on full blast for half a century and shows very few signs of stopping. Every single newcomer wants something. Every single one of them seeks his or her heart's desire in the big city. What adventure will this country boy find in the strange world beyond those bus station doors? What fortune awaits this collegiate Dick Whittington once he taxis in from the airport, where so many people seem to have made the world their oyster? Can he fail? Lovers find in the city a kind of privacy only the vast anonymity of a metropolis can bestow. In the big city, who looks? The answer is nobody and everybody. For the sight of lovers is part of the city's delight, and so is being seen walking with one's love. And above all, newcomers bring to the city that dream of fame, where so many people have succeeded. Can she fail? Oh, there's fortune around, all right, in large chunks. And if it's not yours, at least see it. And fame? Not for everybody, of course, but in the city, you can get close to fame. So close, you may even be mistaken for somebody famous, is a favorite American legend, often told with a clucking of the tongue in hometown papers. Yet who can imagine city life without its carnival, or would want to? Fame, fortune, love, adventure, excitement, culture, fun. Whatever you want, the big city's got it. Come and get it, the city shouts. and by the millions we come, and we get it.
Meanwhile, what happens to the cities? Can they absorb all these extra millions and still serve their purpose? Can they meet all these demands? Let's see. We'll be using New York as an example, but what we say can be applied to any big city, anywhere.
3 important yardsticks in measuring any city are density, variety, and human scale. Let's consider density first. By density, I mean how many people per acre or per block or per room. Some people assume that high density is always bad and low density always good. Not so. If the facilities are too small and poorly planned, as in these Harlem tenements, then the density per acre and per room is obviously too great and bad. But if you had tall, modern buildings with rooms and terraces, you could house a greater number of people on the same acreage, and the resulting density would not be bad. In the new Midtown skyscrapers, comfortable office space is provided for hundreds of thousands of new workers, and more buildings are going up all the time. Good high density, yes, at least indoors. But you get the feeling that somewhere along the line, the builders and the city officials who've let them build have forgotten something. These builders and city planners appear to have forgotten that these millions of people have to get to work and go home again. And in between times, they'll need to grab a bite to eat. Have you ever tried to wrap yourself around the sandwich between noon and 2? So this matter of high density being good or bad is a complex thing.
The next time you hear planners talk about density, be sure to ask where and for what.
Come what may, one thing is certain. You have to have high density. Lots of different kinds of people if you want to have variety in a city. It takes high density to support variety. How many people does it take to support 3 cheese stores in one neighborhood, or 3 movie houses within walking distance? Obviously, we aren't finding much variety in the design of most new buildings. A lot of them seem to have come unassembled from the same mail-order house. There is an occasional exception. Architectural critics found much to praise in the Seagram building. Its clean lines and dark mass pleased most of us. But then came son of Seagram and grandson of Seagram. And pretty soon you can't tell the players without a scorecard.